That's an oxymoron statement.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to resume our Board of Supervisors meeting, afternoon session. We are starting off with item number 21, CAO Espinosa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, this particular item is coming out of our Office of Emergency Services Department, and we have Kevin O'Neill present to present this to your board. This is coming, he's the actual Emergency Services Manager, and this is in reference to updating the Emergency Services Ordinance codified in Chapter 11.01 of the San Benito County Code, and accepting the introduction, waive formal reading, and continue to 2/17/2015 for adoption. So, Kevin?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. So this is a pretty simple one. Basically, we're making a couple changes to the existing civil emergencies ordinance. And the changes basically are to better align it with the state guidelines. The changes are as follows. First, changing the name from civil emergencies to emergency services, just so it's a little more descriptive of what the ordinance is. Removing one part of one section where it defines what an operational area is. The only reason we're removing that is because it's described and defined somewhere else in the same ordinance. So it's just repetitive. We are also changing the disaster council membership, again, to better align with state guidelines. And last, since OES moved from under the sheriff's office to under CAO's office, there's some changes to better reflect that move, such as who the director of emergency services. So it makes it clear that CAO is the director. So that's pretty much it. It's just some small housekeeping items, no big changes. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, that's pretty much all I got.
Okay, any questions, comments from the board? No? Comments from the public? There being none, I'll bring it back for a decision.
I'll make a motion to accept the changes to ordinance number 898 as staff recommended,
And waive further reading?
and waive further reading.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, don't we need to make a motion also to continue the matter to the February 7th meeting?
Bringing it back with a reading? For adoption?
No.
Bringing it back for adoption.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, item number 22, council?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So as the board is aware, the County of San Benito entered into a settlement agreement with the Center for Biological Diversity, resolving the CEQA matter that arose out of litigation between the Center for Biological Diversity, the County of San Benito, and Citadel, which is the real party in interest. As a result of that settlement, the county has agreed to pay the Center for Biological Diversity the amount of $265,500. That amount was due and payable to them 60 days from the date of the settlement agreement, which I believe was sometime at the end of December when that settlement agreement was finalized. So the 60 days is coming up. This is a transfer of monies and out of the general fund contingencies to the appropriate account that will allow the county to send that money to the Center of Biological Diversity, thereby bringing that litigation to a conclusion, or that portion of the litigation to a conclusion.
Okay. And this requires a 4-5 vote.
Yes,
to
it
transfer.
requires a supermajority
Okay.
because it's a budget transfer.
Any questions, comments? Supervisor Botello?
Yeah, I just have a comment, and pretty much, this kind of is
It's
a litigation that was brought on to us from by Citadel, and Citadel's actions on a use permit that was, that they had agreed with certain conditions and failed with those conditions. And Citadel really owes the people of San Benito County this money, and they're not stepping up and fulfilling their obligations yet again. And I think that needs to be stated for the public and for everybody to know that this has everything to do with Citadel and its violations of a use permit.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Munzer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think my comments, concur with Supervisor Bertello, and I also would want to direct staff to do everything within reason and within being reasonable to hold Citadel to their agreement that they had with us in the county. We need to proceed to get settlement from them.
Right.
All right, Supervisor Rivas.
Right, and I certainly have comments. I agree with all that's been said. But also, we can't lose sight of the fact that in June and May of 2013, I personally, I'm sure we all did, met with representatives of
Citadel?
yeah, the Citadel, sorry, and their attorneys, and they told me everything I wanted to hear. I was very skeptical of their project, but I went ahead and supported their test well project. We did offer a conditional use permit, and we did so because some of the things that they told me is they were going to help improve our county in doing so. They wanted to bring jobs to this community. They wanted to bring increased revenues that would support our public library, that would help fund our schools. I mean, this is stuff that they told me. And in June of 2013, this board voted 5-0 to offer them the opportunity to do just that. And unfortunately, they did not act in good faith. We got challenged in court. The court ruled against our decision to offer the conditional use permit under the mitigated negative, the declaration.
Yeah.
So essentially we made a bad decision. But the fact remains, a big part of the decision I made that day to offer them that permit is the fact that they agreed to sign an indemnification agreement. The first part of that indemnification agreement, applicant shall defend, indemnify, and hold county free and harmless from any and all suits, fees, claims, demands, causes of action, the proceedings. It goes on to say an award of attorney's fees. What we are allocating, what our taxpayers are being asked to fund today is attorney's fees in the amount that was negotiated by our county staff to $265,500, because we have an oil entity here in Citadel that is refusing to honor the agreement that they signed. And that really bothers me. It bothers me a lot. Because this shows that they did not act in good faith. The fact that our board gave them the opportunity, we granted them these permits to drill these 15 new test wells. The project was just that, it was a test, certainly. But they had the chance. The fact is that Citadel, we gave them, as a board, we gave them the chance to prove to us that they could conduct themselves in a professional manner while operating their wells safely and in accordance with state and local laws. And that's a whole nother issue. And I've gone through so many documents of minutes because I can't remember what we do from one meeting to the next. And in those minutes, they specifically said, myself and a lot, as a board, we asked about wastewater. And this is after the fact, after the courts ruled against them. They had produced a whole ton of wastewater. And in those minutes, they had said, hey, we're flexible about, handling this wastewater. We're going to ship it off-site, or we have to, if we're going to put this wastewater back into the wells, we've got to get it tested by the EPA. They did not get the water tested by the EPA. They did not ship it off-site. They dumped it back in the ground. And that is an extreme concern of mine because it could have caused environmental pollution. We just don't know. But it's the way that they acted, the way that, they really lost my trust. They certainly never had my trust to begin with. It was very iffy at best, but they certainly don't have it now. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Rivas. Supervisor De La Cruz?
Yes, thank you, Madam. What more do I add? All of my fellow supervisors said the same thing, how I felt. I, too, felt that when we approved this project, it was just for test wells. It was not to actually drill oil, and if the opportunity came up, they were going to come before the board under scrutiny guidelines in which the board will have the opportunity to consider their project moving forward. Unfortunately, when they signed that letter of identification, I felt comfortable. I felt that all the pieces were in place, and I felt that the taxpayers were being protected when they signed that. That didn't happen. There's an old saying that that letters as good as what you write on, and it proved it right here. It proved it because now we're short $262,500, which we're going to have to give to the Center for Biological Diversity, which that money could be used for libraries, for library services, for rewarding our employees who have stood together with us during those hard times. Now we can't use those funds to reinvest back in our community and our investments in our employees and the libraries. How do we move forward from this? Do we treat all the other projects differently now, or we continue to do business as usual and hopefully that this kind of project never comes again? I am very sad. I also too wouldn't boy, I just want to make sure my words ain't used in court, so I got to be careful. I got to be careful. Sorry about that, Madam Chair, but
That's okay.
I'm trying to say the right words. I'm just a little bit too emotional to stress on the issue, but I think fewer words is a lot better. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor De La Cruz. Well said, supervisors. The only thing that I can add to it is to thank staff for being able to save the county some money. We could have been out $441,000. So I'm glad that we're not. It's a shame that we're out any money at all. And I agree with Supervisor Munzer that if there's any way we can recoup any of those funds, we certainly don't want to miss that opportunity. So thank you, staff, for the work you have done. Okay.
Just so the board is clear, on the agenda item, or on the agenda today, the amount that's listed in 20 is $265,500, but in the AIT and in the settlement agreement, the proper amount is $262,500. So that, when the board makes its motion, that should be the amount, $262,500,
Okay.
and that's on the AIT.
Right. Okay. Any comments from the public regarding this item?
Hi, Chair, Board. My name is Mark Wyrick, SEIU, Local 521. And, I wanted to communicate that in 2013, the Board of Supervisors made a number of decisions that we're now paying for. And, unfortunately, one of those decisions was that we're now having to pay the settlement for a company that, is currently threatening to sue the county for $1.2 billion. Another decision that we're paying the price for was the board's decision to impose such harsh sanctions on our workers, and we're still paying the price with various departments struggling to recruit and retain members. For county workers, this settlement's yet another depletion of funding that could have been used to provide any number of public services to the county. And it's our hope that the board will aggressively pursue having Citadel pay for the cost of the settlement, and that there's accountability and transparency in ensuring that we can get these funds returned back to the general fund where it belongs. And, again, these are funds that could be used towards public services right now, and we'd like to offer our full support in helping hold Citadel accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. Okay, any other comments from the public? I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I move that we transfer of general fund contingency to non-departmental expense in the amount of $262,500.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
And I will reluctantly provide a second.
Okay, motion is, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? This motion carries. Item number 23, CAO.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, this is the last item on our regular agenda. This particular item is going to be presented to you by Georgia Cochran, but I first wanted to kind of give you an overview. As you're aware, our integrated waste director has recently retired. She actually retired on Friday. And with that in mind, we need to have somebody in place at least to bridge the gap until we either evaluate and look at the optimity study and evaluate the organization in that area, as well as the potential of hiring other individuals for that office. So for now, this is what we're coming to your board with the exemption request by your board, but Georgia is here to elaborate a little further on that.
Not much elaboration. This is a short-term stopgap solution, and CalPERS now has a formal process in place that didn't exist 2 years ago, but it does now. And the idea is to at least keep our services going, as Ray says, while we ensure whether we're going to do them the same or differently and eliminate the need for this, as with the other resolutions like this we've brought forward over time.
Any questions of Georgia? Comments?
Madam-
Supervisor De La Cruz?
Now, we're going to discuss this at the retreat, right?
Yeah, we're going to be discussing the organization, and in particular, integrated waste. Supervisor Patello called me up when he went to the RCRC meeting, and there's some enlightening news concerning integrated waste legislation that was passed, but also what they actually have in place right now. There's actually a JPA that RCRC has currently with different rural counties that are a part of that. So we wanted to evaluate that and look at that a little closer. Mary, I actually will be, she had mentioned to me that she'd be offer her time to come and speak during the board retreat to discuss the JPA and to evaluate a little further. So we want to look at that, and we also want to look at the organization as well from the opportunity study point of view as well. So yeah.
So everything's on the table. You can
Yeah,
take it to pieces and build it up again, or whatever direction the board wishes to go.
that's correct. That's the plan.
Okay.
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 Any other comments or questions? Supervisor Patello?
Yeah, I'm happy that our CAO mentioned that, and, you know, what I, you know, came across Mary Pitto, RCRC, you know, just in conversation with another supervisor that's part of this JPA, and they've been pretty happy with the results. And I'm not sure if this shoe fits, but it's worth, you know, at least listening to the information that they have, and then we go from there. If we decide to do some sort of reorganization within Public Works, this is the time to do it.
Right. Okay. Very good. Any
Actually,
others?
Madam Chair, one
Yes.
more.
Go ahead, Supervisor De
And
La
I
Cruz.
apologize, I guess. One more. I would recommend that, Ray, that you reach out to all the companies that use the landfill, and companies that are subject by the resource recovery, like, you know, and I'll say it for the record, there's a conflict in my statement right now. Companies like us, West Coast Rubber Recycling, ask for input on how, you know, we can, what can be changes, what additions do we need to be made. So, you know, a new source of information, a new input to the concept.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any comments from the public in regards to this item? Okay, I'll bring it back to the board.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2015-7.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to now have County Council identify the matters that we're discussing in closed session.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Board of Supervisors will now adjourn into closed session to discuss agenda items number 24 through 26 on today's agenda. Agenda item number 24 is to discuss with staff the county employee appointment of the position of Assistant County Administrative Officer. The authority to meet can be found in California Government Code 54957. Agenda item number 25 is to meet and confer with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation and the initiation of litigation pursuant to subdivision D4 of section 54956.9. And it's not going to be in two cases, it's just going to be in one case. So that's one case we will be discussing. Agenda item number 26 is to meet and confer with legal counsel regarding existing litigation under subdivisions A and D1 of section 54956.9, and the name of that case is the Center for Biological Diversity versus San Benito County et al. filed in the Superior Court of California in the County of Monterey under cause number M123956, and Citadel Exploration, Inc. is the real party in interest in that matter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone from the public that would like to comment on this item, on the closed session items? There being none, we will come back to report out from closed session.